Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the show. This is Vimo Live, and you are listening either right now on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Vimo Live, or at a later point of time on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Kana.com, JioSavan, or wherever else you listen to audio. In which case, please share the episode with people you love or don't love that much, because sometimes you may also want to share an episode with people when you think they need to hear it, but you know also that they may not enjoy it completely. So, that all being there, please share the episode on your social media or with people you know or don't know. And if possible, give the show a rating or a review wherever possible. Spotify has a rating system, Apple Podcast has a rating and review system. So, whatever works for you. And having said all that, let me get straight into today's topic. Today's topic is actually I wanted to talk about aliens, but not for the most straightforward reasons, because there are a lot of reasons to talk about aliens. Recently, World UFO Day went by, and a lot of people automatically, when they hear the word UFO, hear the abbreviation UFO, they start thinking about aliens. But what we don't realize is that UFO ka jo U hai, it means unidentified, which means that you basically saw something in the sky that you could not identify, and you came to the conclusion that these are beings from another planet. And the reason we think that is because we have seen a lot of movies where aliens come to Earth in ships and they hover around, and we look up and we don't know what that thing is. So it's a kind of a variation of the God of the Gaps argument, where you look at something and you don't know what caused it, and you shove the idea of God into it. This seems to be an alien of the gap argument. But the reason I wanted to talk about aliens in the same vein as God or other celestial beings or supernatural phenomena is that aliens are often used as a justification by religious people. We have, by the way, covered this before, but I wanted to go more in depth into it today. Religious people sometimes will ask you, do you believe in aliens? And what they don't mention is what they mean by aliens. Because there are two things, there is possibility and then there is probability. A thing can be possible, but not probable. A thing can be probable, but not, sorry, a thing can be possible, but not probable. But a thing can be probable, and the level of probability may change. So when people say aliens, what do they actually mean? Because we have all been watching the MCU movies, and they have essentially appropriated Norse mythology and turned Thor into some kind of an alien being. The idea is that aliens came to Earth, they were so powerful and so beyond our capacity to understand that we thought of them as gods. And therefore, Thor came to be worshipped as a god. Thor, his father Odin, and all that happened, and they came to be worshipped as gods, but they were actually beings from another world that exists in this universe, right? So, might it not be conceivable that what we describe as gods or God is simply an alien intelligence, a kind of intelligence that is so far beyond our understanding that we can only compare it to the myths and fables that our religious books teach us about, tell us about rather. So, that is what today's episode is going to be. We're going to go into this in some detail, and let me take a look at the comments. We have Alogic here. Hi, Alogic. Hoy. Okay. Manish is here. Just be there says, have you watched Rick and Morty? I have seen some episodes of it, not all of it. Anjali says, I've watched Rick and Morty and it's really amazing. It really changed my imagination. And that Multiverse TV. What Multiverse TV? I don't know what Multiverse TV is. I guess I have not seen Rick and Morty to that extent. Uh, Ritu says Rick and Morty took the science fiction to another level. Have you watched the episode where Rick made a car battery and that battery was powered by people living in battery universe and cycle continue? Oh, okay, that's an interesting idea. No, I have not seen it. Charvak is here. Hi, Charvak. Kostov, aliens. Aliens is here. Yay, me. Kavan says this has to be highlighted. Alien says yay, me. Kavan says hey, I'm back. Messi is here. Sundarji is also here. Sundarji, hi. The moment science thinks about aliens, God goes behind them, basically, God of the gaps fallacy. Yeah. But we are not talking about what science says about aliens, because effectively, all science has ever indicated about aliens is that life on other planets is a possibility. The main reason behind that is that life on this planet is a reality. If the universe contains a lot of stars and a lot of stars have planets going around them, just as our star has our planet going around it, then it is not impossible for other planets to have life, the kind of life that we have. So when we mostly talk about, like, the most solid case for the existence of aliens has to be that there is a planet on which life is there, therefore there may be another planet on which life is there. So if someone means life on another planet, when they say aliens, then I'm with them. Aliens are possible. But we have a frame of reference for that kind of life, and that frame of reference is us and all the other life forms that exist on this planet. We don't have any frame of reference for any other kind of alien. For example, if someone says that light could be sentient, we have no reason to think that that is true. It may be true, it may not be true, we don't know. What we do know is that life of the variety that we are, carbon based life forms living on the surface of a planet in whose atmosphere there is a bunch of gases like oxygen and nitrogen, and that is possible. We know it is possible because we have seen proof of it, and that proof is us. So when people say that aliens could also be, trans-dimensional entities which existed before the Big Bang and gave rise to the universe itself, we have no frame of reference. So that's using the definition of the word alien a bit too liberally. And by the way, also, that kind of alien would probably not need a ship that flies in the sky, right? It would be something that transcends time and space. Apparently, there is a lot of science fiction where aliens like this exist. Most notably, the thing that comes to mind is the character of Q in Star Trek. So, there, Q is very powerful. Q can control reality, Q can create entire pocket universes. There is a character which appeared recently in Orville also. They were creating pocket universe like it was scribbling on a piece of paper. So, if beings such as those exist, we have no frames of reference for them, and therefore, our response to that should be we don't know if it is possible, and therefore, we reserve judgment until evidence presents itself. As far as alien life on other planets is concerned, we do have evidence for the possibility of that. Um, Dolly says, has anyone watched Orville episode where they traveled in 2D? It was amazing to imagine how 2D world will look like. Yeah, I've seen it. It was one of the most mind-blowing things. I think it was season 2. I don't remember the episode number, but yeah. Jack says, hi Vimo, I want to read a lot of I want to read a lot of books, but I am so depressed because my English is weak and I don't feel for reading, but I want to read. Jack, keep reading. Nobody, माँ के पेट से कोई इंग्लिश सीख के नहीं आता, सब लोग पढ़ पढ़ के ही सीखते हैं. Practice is what will eventually make you better. So even if you read one page a day, that's also okay. If you read 5 pages a day, that's also okay. If you read one paragraph a day, that's also okay. If you want to read, continue reading. Don't give up simply because you're slow. Confucius has said it does not matter how slow you go as long as you do not stop. That's the path. This is the way. Uh, Charvak says Praveen Mohan, so-called expert in ancient alien. No, he's only an expert at interpreting his own imagination in wrong ways. That's all. If people looked at a certain shape and, like, Praveen Mohan's method, which is that he looks at something, and if that shape looks like something else he has seen, then he will say that, oh my god, these are the same thing because they look like each other. By that logic, anything can be claimed. Like, that's exactly how we came to think that the stars have shapes inherent in them. That's how we imagined the constellations. Um, Please expose more on Praveen Mohan. According to him, Shiva is an alien and Lingam is a spaceship. Yeah. A lot of garbage is floating around on the internet. We can't spend time exposing people. Like I mentioned some time ago, right? I have two content policies. One is sword, one is shield. Sword is when we present a view of our own. Shield is when we are blocking their opinions, as in their views or their intellectual garbage that they're spewing all over the place. If we are constantly holding up a shield, if we are constantly debunking, exposing, etc., we will not be able to send anything out into the world. I talked about this in the previous episode where I was saying uh, a manifesto for the modern online Indian atheist. We need to present something instead of just blocking, because religious people have faith in these things, And if you say this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, they will ask you, then what is right? We have to do that. And exposing and debunking is fun, but we cannot continuously devote all our energy to countering their propaganda. We have to make a case ourselves, which is why I kind of stay away from exposing. A fool is a fool, and plenty of people have debunked someone in the past. If a brand new thing happens and nobody has talked about it, I will talk about it. But if someone has been debunked thoroughly, there is no point in making episode 135 exposing the same guy for the same thing all over again. Dolly says, "Hi Vimo, can I trust things said in Ancient Aliens episode? Are those real? What about Area 51 leaks? That one man who worked in Area 51 told many things about Area 51. Is it real?" No, Dolly, it is not real. You really think that they are able to keep something like that secret for this many years? Like everyone in the media, everyone in the government, everyone in the courts, nobody has access to it. This one guy was the first person to talk about it, and for all these years, nobody else spoke about it. It's garbage. It's conspiratorial garbage. Don't pay attention to this shit. Pay attention to things that are presented with evidence. किसी के बोल देने से कोई चीज़ सच नहीं हो जाती. Vairu is here. Richa is here. Hi, Richa. Richa says, "Do you ever think that there will be religion based on matrix, like the preacher? Preacher would tell us that this is a matrix and everyone is seen by people who control the matrix. We already have such people, right? There are Hindus who believe that the world is Maya. However, they're also hypocrites because they don't actually believe that the world is Maya, because they're still attached to their money, their houses, their businesses, and their politics. Nobody actually believes that the world is unreal. People like to say it because it sounds fancy. Ra one says, "Dolly, you ask anything nonsense. Answer of ancient astronaut will also be what? Yeah. Please don't talk to each other in language like that. Don't say nonsense, etc." Charvak says, "Please unsubscribe from Praveen Mohan. He's spreading pseudoscience and pseudo history, copy pasting contents of Ancient Alien series." He, I believe, has met the guy who does the Ancient Alien series. He has a picture with him also. Like, I don't know what like attracts like, I guess. Richa says, "Hey Vimo, are living organisms only based on carbon compound? Can there be life without carbon compound? Can you tell how that life would be?" There is some speculation about what life would be like if it was silicon based or if it was something else based. But so far, all the life that we know of on this planet is carbon based. That's all we know. Whether or not something else is possible, maybe it is, maybe it is not. Our answer is has to be until that point that we don't know. When it presents itself, maybe it will be able to, oh, okay, we didn't know that this rock on this planet was actually alive and had a consciousness. Luca says, "For a possibility of extraterrestrial life existence, look into the Drake equation, and for an argument against it, look at the Fermi paradox." Really interesting to ruminate over. Yeah, the Drake equation is basically an equation about. It's not really an equation. It's how do I put it? It's at least somewhat speculative in nature because it assumes that aliens means people living on other planets, which is okay. But what if aliens were not that? What if aliens were something else? What if aliens were beings existing in space, free from the free from the bounds of gravity? So Drake equation is about how there are so many planets and there are so many life forms, and it is how it is extremely unlikely that that would be the Fermi paradox. Drake equation is about the likelihood of life being in the universe. The Fermi paradox is that the universe may be full of life, but none of it will ever reach us because of space is so vast and time is so vast. Sudipto says, "Didn't five people like 20 YouTubers go to Area 51 to Naruto run the aliens wild?" Yeah, they did, but nothing happened. It was a way to promote their own channels, and they did that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, fell for that stupidity. Charvak says, "Good point about Sword and Shield." Kavan says, "I love shows like Ancient Aliens and others. From a storytelling point of view, I think of it as really immersive story." It's not an immersive story, though, is it? They're claiming that it is true. I'm happy to have a story. I'm happy to engage with a story as a story. But when someone tells a story and tells you that this is true and this is factual and that scientists are wrong, the only thing that story ends up achieving is that it reduces people's trust in the scientific method and in the things that actual scientists are saying. And that has serious repercussions, as we saw during the pandemic. Even if a show like Ancient Aliens causes someone to mistrust scientists, that mistrust may manifest as नहीं मैं वैक्सीन नहीं लूंगा क्योंकि वैक्सीन जहर है. So we have to be careful about this stuff. Stories को enjoy करना है, there are plenty of good stories you can enjoy, but the stories need to be marked as stories. And this is primarily the problem with religion also. Religion is stories, but people seem to think that it is more than stories, and that is what creates the problem. If people accept that these are all just stories, we won't be dying and killing and dying over them. Senior says, Bob Lazar, I don't know who Bob Lazar is. Senior says, next 50 years में एलियन से कनेक्ट होने की संभावना है क्या सर? सर वो तो एलियंस पे डिपेंड करता है. अगर हम अब तक नेक्स्ट 50 इयर्स में हम लोग शायद मार्स पे जा सकेंगे, या शायद इस प्लैनेट के कुछ और लाइफ फॉर्म्स पे. कुछ लोगों का कहना है कि जो यूरोपा है, एक सैटेलाइट है सैटर्न का, आई थिंक वहाँ पे जो समुद्र हैं उसके अंदर हो सकता है लाइफ हो सकती है. अगर है तो हो सकता है अगले 50 सालों में हम वहाँ जाएं और हमको वो मिल जाए. But there is no indication that there is intelligent life of the variety that we are used to seeing on Earth. Maybe we can find microbial life in some places in the solar system, and even if that is true, then that would be a great advancement. But कई बार लोग एलियंस सोचते हैं तो उनको लगता है कि शिप होना चाहिए, लैंग्वेज होनी चाहिए, कपड़े होने चाहिए. वो होने के चांसेस मुझे कम ही लगते हैं, बट देन अगेन आई डोंट नो. Luca says, Flatland by Edwin Abbott is an excellent read for 2D world. A square is visited by a sphere from the 3D world and wacky things happen. Yeah. Flatland is amazing. Please read it. Cowan says, I love conspiracy theories, content with pseudoscience and leaps in logic because I look at it as a form of escapism. It feeds my imagination and transports me to strange new worlds with a rich lore. That is a trap. If you want to feed your imagination, read science fiction. There is much more fuel for your imagination in books that are clearly labeled fiction. If you fall into the trap of conspiracy theories, then you don't know how your mind works. Your mind will want to believe it, and at some point, it will give up and believe it. So be careful about these things. Charvak says, what do you think about parallel universes hypothesis? Hindutva people frequently use it to justify how great is their religion. Parallel universes. I don't know what parallel universes have to do with Hinduism. Like they do claim it, yeah, but they claim a lot of shit. Why should we pay it any attention? Parallel, if multiple universes, if infinite number of universes exist, then I'm pretty sure there is an infinite number of universes out there where there is no religion. And if that is a possibility, then you have to ask religious people what they feel about it. Sudipta says Drake equation is technically presented as a math function. I know it is presented as a math function, and my problem is with like the foundation of it is that there are many planets which may be life supporting, and therefore the chances of life existing on millions of planets in this galaxy alone is high. Cool. But what if life doesn't require a planet to exist? What if life can exist inside a nebula? What if life can exist inside a star? What if life can exist in the form of free gases in interstellar space? What if life can exist in a form that is not bound by space itself? What if there is a single life form spanning the length and breadth of our universe and we don't even know about it? Like imagine being a germ on the skin of a human being, and that germ is looking for life everywhere, and what it is looking for is others like it, and it does not know that it exists on a life form. So Drake equation, as far as you want to describe alien life as creatures on the surface of planets, fine. But what if that's not what alien life is? Yashvi says, what do you think about The Secret, the book? It's garbage. Anarchist Atheist says, does Drake equation favor Fermi paradox or it doesn't? I think they kind of work together with each other. Fermi paradox does say that the chances of alien life making contact with us is infinitely small. Or I don't know if it says infinitely, but it says extraordinarily small. So I guess they work with each other kind of. But since neither is actually strictly scientific and it's mostly speculative in nature. I don't know if compatibility is a matter that matters here. A matter that matters. Aditya says, what about UFO spotted by the US Air Force pilots, Vimo? Not sure how to think about it. It was revealed during the Bush administration. Again, the U in UFO stands for unidentified. It is unidentified. We don't know what it is. Therefore, when we look at something that we don't know what it is, why should we assume that it is a ship full of actual living beings who have traveled to this planet from the surface of another planet? That's a whole lot of assumptions, right? That's a whole lot of assumptions. Charvak says, what do you think about multi-dimensional hypothesis by Michio Kaku, which Sadhguru quotes frequently to justify Adiyogi, etc.? I don't know if Sadhguru talks a lot. I have no time to pay attention to everything he says. Multi-dimensional hypothesis by Michio Kaku, I'm not remembering it off the top of my head, so I don't think I will quote it. Uh, Kavya says, when I was a child, I used to think ancient aliens was real. A lot of people did. Even I did. That's okay. As long as you have grown up and you no longer believe that nonsense, you're fine. Sumana says, do you think bhakts in the alternate dimension are still bhakts? Arey, even more. There are infinite number of universes where bhakts are all fans of Rahul Gandhi. And there are infinite number of universes where Narendra Modi is a member of the Congress. And there is an infinite number of universes where Sonia Gandhi is a Sanghi. So if the multiverse is true, then we have to contend with all possible variations of reality. Mohit Rajput says, can you please repeat about that trait in humans which makes us believe in stories? Maybe it was called HAD, hyperactive something something, hyperactive agent detection. Yes, I will repeat it. The hyperactive agent detection hypothesis says that human beings have evolved, right? Human beings at one point of time were in a state of evolution where they were described as Adi Manav by today's standards. And during this period, during this period, give me a break. Let me drink some water. So during this period, what happened is that a human being will be going through a forest, and the forest is full of dangers. There are snakes, there are pits, there are uh, trees on top of which there are giant snakes which can eat you or swallow you. So what the human does is that it needs to be alert. So in order to be alert, what the human brain does is that it creates phantoms. So the human starts thinking that every shadow is alive and that every sound is the sound coming from a conscious being which wants to hurt it or is at least a danger to it. Now, there is no being out there, there is no life in the shadows, but there is an advantage to thinking that there are people out there or agents, conscious agents out there who want to hurt it. Because when the human thinks that, the human becomes alert. And because it's alert, because that man in the forest in the darkness is alert to the possibility of ghosts and spirits and supernatural beings and gods, he's so alert that he avoids going near trees and he escapes the snake. He avoids falling into the pit because he's carefully looking around. He avoids becoming breakfast for the bear because he's running away from every shadow. So the alertness is an advantage. The illusion that the brain created in order to make the human being an alert is a quality that has remained in us even today. आप घर में अकेले होते हो, बेड के नीचे से कोई आवाज आती है, you instantly think there is a ghost. You are alone on the rooftop and there is a chitter pitter behind you. It's a cat, but you think it's a ghost or a supernatural thing or a jinn or God. Throughout history, human beings have fallen for the same thing: hyperactive agent detection. We detect agents, and by agent, we mean something with agency, something which can decide, something which can do things by choice. Our imagination is hyperactively detecting agents everywhere. All the gods, all the jinns, all the bhoot pret, jo bhi hai, is a product of the human mind, according to this hypothesis. And this tendency to imagine hyperactive, to imagine agents everywhere, is probably the source of all religious mythology. All gods, all deities, all ghosts and bhoot prets. That's what had means. Kavan says, yeah, you're right. When you take all things into consideration, enjoying stuff like ancient aliens, even for your own niche interests, is ultimately harmful to society for the reasons you mentioned. Yeah. And if you want to, like, exercise your imagination, there are other ways of doing so. You can just read science fiction. Um, Kiran says, I feel there should be more female scientists. I agree. Kavan says, do you think we'll ever become a type 1 civilization? Arre, pehle, type 1. Oh, yeah, I think type 1 is within our reach. It may take centuries and millennia, but it is within our reach. Tolly says, Kiran, yes, I do feel there should be more female scientists. Vikas says, Vimo Bhaiya, recently Indian YouTube channels who make science videos started making religious videos saying scientists को जो आज खाते हैं जो आज खते हैं वो हमारे धर्म शास्त्रों में बहुत पहले से ये तो मतलब कुछ यूट्यूबर्स हैं जो साइंस के नाम पे घंटा कंटेंट बनाते हैं एंड दे हैव रियलाइज्ड कि जब वो हिंदू हिंदू करेंगे तो बहुत सारे लोग आके उसको देखेंगे इसीलिए दे हैव लाइक दिस इज सो सैड ऑन मल्टीपल लेवल्स ए इट इज फॉल्स एंड बी ये लोग अपने फैंस को ही उल्लू बना रहे हैं ये लोग अपने फैंस को ये लोग देख रहे हैं कि एक टाइप का कंटेंट बना से बहुत व्यूअर आते हैं सो मैं वही कंटेंट बनाऊंगा चाहे वो झूठी क्यों ना हो क्योंकि मुझे व्यूज चाहिए so it's very sad and I don't think like if people who are aware of the scientific method are already subscribing to the channel they should point out to these creators that you're doing something wrong. विकास says I feel extreme anger so ऐसा क्या करें हम जैसे लोग क्या हमें भी अब वीडियोस बनाना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए हाँ बिल्कुल वीडियो अगर बनाना है तो बनाओ बट मेक वीडियोस बेटर देन देयर्स मेक वीडियोस लाइक आई एम गोइंग टू एड्रेस दिस इन लाइक okay so I forgot I have had a Hindi channel for some time which I was not updating very much but I think now that the main channel is monetized I'm going to focus a little bit on the Hindi channel also. It's called Vimo Explains. VIMOH EXPLAINS. If you search for it, you will find it. Otherwise, just go to youtube.com/Vimo Explains, and that channel is there. I've been posting YouTube shorts on it, but sometimes I'll make longer videos about this also because ये जो nonsense आजकल फैल रहा है हिंदी YouTube में इसको काउंटर करने की थोड़ी बहुत ज़रूरत है despite what I said to चारवाक because this thing where अरे उनको ये पता था हज़ारों साल पहले इसको काउंटर करने के लिए मैं कम से कम एक वीडियो तो बनाऊंगा और मैं उस चैनल पे डालूंगा क्योंकि दैट्स अ हिंदी ओनली चैनल Hindi only short form content channel. So maybe I'll make a 2, 3, 4, 5 minute video about this and put it up. So if you have not subscribed to that channel, please do. It's called youtube.com/Vimo Explains. VIMOHEXPLAINS. Charvak says, what if an alien comes from some remote planet? What do you think will be their first reaction when they reach Earth and see this world? Why do you think they will see this world? One of my points is that when we imagine what aliens would be like, we often imagine them to be like us. There is a book that I was reading some time ago called what was it called? Children of where did I put it? I'm forgetting. It was a story about a planet where spiders live, and their primary mode of communication with each other is sound. Obviously, like we talk using sound. I'm producing sound right now. It is going through the mic. It is going through the internet. It is reaching. It is vibrating the air around you, and it is reaching your ears. The spiders were communicating using their legs. They were sending vibrations to each other through their spider webs, right? That's how spiders communicate. So when we imagine alien life form, we should not imagine that they will even have eyes or that they will even have something like emotional reactions or that they will even have something like curiosity. Life forms can be completely different from us that we will not even recognize them if we saw them. Like imagine looking at a rock and you thinking, okay, this is clearly not alive because I've seen rocks before. Maybe our frame of reference will fail us there. Maybe the alien life form will not care. Maybe the alien life form will look at Earth and say, yeah, I've seen planets like this before. When you think of an alien coming to Earth and looking at us, you are thinking about a human being, even if you're not thinking about a human being, because you have no other frame of reference. You are imagining an alien and thinking about a human being. You're thinking they will come, they will look at us, and they will have reactions. These are all things that we do. We come, we look at things, and we have reactions. Aliens may be so different, we can't even talk about them. So that is my primary view. The chances of alien life form on other planets being like us is so extraordinarily small that we might as well discard it as not happening. Lucas says both possibilities: a universe full of alien life forms or humans alone in the universe are fascinating. Yeah, I actually find the second possibility more fascinating because it would mean we are an extraordinarily rare accident. I imagine if there is no life anywhere in the universe and we are the only people. And that idea is both frightening and elevating because it means that हमारे सारे झगड़े एक दूसरे को मारना वगैरह ये जो रिलीजन बना के हम लोग कर रहे हैं ये कंप्लीट बकवास वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम है क्योंकि हमारे पास एक दूसरे के अलावा और कोई नहीं है. If the universe is indeed empty, then we are the whole. We are the default state of the universe is lifelessness, and we are the whole in that state of lifelessness because we are alive. That is what blows my mind. Um, Alien says, look up the grabby aliens theory later. It is an attempt to explain the Fermi paradox. Okay, I will. Weber says, if the multiverse theory is we are all Batman, Batwoman, and oh, immediately after that comment, there is a comment from someone called Robin Hood. So there's a universe where the architect girl is CM and stalked Narendra Modi using state CID instead of him doing it. Probably. But I don't think this is a matter to laugh at. That person went through a lot of trouble. Anarchist Atheist says, if we ever make contact with aliens, would religious people face existential crisis or they would find an excuse? I think it can go many ways. I once wrote a story, in fact, that's still half written in that folder I showed you the other day. It's so aliens are coming towards Earth, and they don't just pop into existence one day. We see something coming towards us through satellites, through satellite telescopes, and the thing is years away. And we see, yeah, this is unmistakably an alien ship that is coming towards the solar system, and then it gets closer and news about it spreads all over the earth and people are confirmed that it's a ship. It's clear that it's a ship, we can see it, but it's coming at a speed that will cause it to get here in years. In the years that it takes to get to earth, books are being written about it. People are speculating about it. People are speculating about the structure of the ship. People are talking about what kind of life forms they may be, what we can definitely say for sure, what we cannot say. And then some of these books take the form of religion, right? There are some religions which claim कि हमारे ग्रंथों में लिखा था कि 10,000 वर्ष पहले ये लोग पृथ्वी को छोड़ के कहीं चले गए थे और अब वो लोग वापस आ रहे हैं. So these are not aliens, they're just coming back. And some people say that something else, something else. You know, people make shit up. So I think if aliens just pop into existence one fine day, there will be a lot of skepticism. People will say it's a government conspiracy, etc. But if we see the aliens coming from a long way away, it will probably work to the advantage of religions because religions will try to appropriate it. Of course, a lot of people will swallow it, a lot of people would not swallow it. That's a different matter. But if something becomes an undeniable presence in everyday life, like a giant ship coming towards Earth, and we have no way of knowing where, like what it is until it gets here, uh, then religions will try to appropriate it, like they try to appropriate everything else. You know what will really, the really funny thing will be if that ship doesn't stop, if it just crosses and goes to the other side, and everyone is like, "Abey, ye kya tha?" Vikas says our society is based on science and technology, but majority don't know anything about this. Do you think it's dangerous, especially today's environment, which clearly demotes science? No, I don't think. See, we are, we're not demoting science. We are more and more reliant on science with each passing day. What we are demoting is a mistrust of authority. Scientific authority is a thing. You know, scientists are people who we rely on, who we trust their word because there is significant evidence to suggest that their work has been useful in the past. So most of the people who are anti-science, genuinely anti-science, are only anti-science because scientific authority is taking the place of religious authority and they don't like it. They want religious authority to be the authority that they submit and surrender to, and they don't want religions to take you know the they don't want science to take the place of religion, and that is what they are opposed to. They're not opposed to science, they use science all the time. ये जितने धार्मिक लोग हैं ये लोग सब यूट्यूब का इस्तेमाल नहीं कर रहे हैं, यूट्यूब तो साइंस है, रिलीजन ने थोड़ी बनाया था इंटरनेट. Aditya says the UFOs are unidentified. Correct. I'm not saying that it was aliens, but what are the other plausible explanations for those spottings? Asking to understand if there are any theories. What could possibly be a plausible explanation for an unidentified flying object? It is unidentified and it is a flying object. We don't know what to think about it. If it looks artificial, and I don't know if it does, maybe it could be like, I can give you a plausible explanation right now. Maybe there are underwater civilizations which sent out ships to monitor life on the surface of Earth. That doesn't require something to be alien. They're beings from this planet, right? Maybe there are secret government projects that nobody knows about. Maybe the government of a certain country on Earth has created something like that is flying around. Maybe it is something else. Plausible explanation, like if I put milk outside my house and tomorrow morning the milk is gone, plausible explanations will be from things that I do know of. Like, पड़ोस की बिल्ली पी गई, कोई कुत्ता पी गया, कोई कोई और कुछ और हो गया ऐसा, या right? These are all things that I know are possible. Why would we instantly jump to the possibility that it's a ship from another planet? I'm not saying that that is your case. I'm just saying कि a lot of people come to this conclusion, and I don't think it is useful. Samay fell off. Are you witnessing the drama, Vimo? No, I don't know what Samay fell off even means. Senior says, सर क्या पास्ट में एलियन 1 की संभावना रही होगी जब टेक्नोलॉजी का डेवलपमेंट नहीं हुआ था? बिल्कुल रही थी. अगर एलियंस हैं तो उनके अभी आने के उतने ही चांसेस हैं जितने कि तब आने के थे. श्योर. पर वो चांसेस हैं, वो आए थे, नहीं थे, इसके बारे में हमें कुछ पता नहीं. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि कोई चीज़ इम्पॉसिबल है. ठीक वैसे ही जैसे मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि कोई चीज़ पॉसिबल है. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि हमें नहीं पता है. एंड अनलेस एविडेंस प्रेजेंट्स इटसेल्फ, वी शुड नॉट जंप टू द कंक्लूजन्स. Yashvi says, hey Vimo, I'm a Gen Z and I'm very cool. Even my parents are also cool, but our thoughts don't match. I'm afraid this will affect me and my kids. What will be the ideas I will not agree with my kids? What will be the ideas that you will not agree with about with your kids? How would I know? I don't know you. I don't know your parents. I don't know your kids. I don't know your ways of thinking. And therefore, I cannot comment on what you will disagree with your kids on, unless I'm misunderstanding your question. In that case, probably maybe you should ask it again more clearly. Kavan says, I feel like even if what they said was true, I would still prefer a scientific mind over someone who knew this for centuries. Because if this person meets something that isn't mentioned in their books, they have no idea what to do. Yeah, no, they will find some interpretation in their book, and they will find an idea of what to do. विकास says, जब कोई साइंटिस्ट किसी धर्म की थ्योरी की थोड़ी भी तारीफ कर देता है, आपको लगता है वो नहीं अवॉइड करना चाहिए? लाइक कार्ल सेगन ने कॉस्मोस डॉक्यूमेंट्री में हिंदुइज्म की थोड़ी तारीफ क्या कर दी थी. रिलीजियस चैनल्स कम साइंस चैनल्स उसे एग्जाम्पल बनाकर हिंदुइज्म को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं. उन्होंने तारीफ इमेजिनेशन की थी. उन्होंने तारीफ रियलिस्टिक साइंस की नहीं की थी. इनफैक्ट इफ यू गो बैक टू दैट एपिसोड and you watch what Carl Sagan actually said, he said it is the only major religion where the time scales correspond, no doubt by accident, to modern cosmology or something like this. He said it was a coincidence. He said that Hinduism का बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम, मतलब जो बड़े टाइम स्केल्स की बात करते हैं ना यूनिवर्स के लेंथ का, वो एक कोइंसिडेंस है. पर ये लोग जब वो कोट को रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं उस हिस्से को हटा देते हैं. ध्यान से देखना कभी. Find the actual quote, find the actual video. He says, no doubt by coincidence. They remove that and they say it is the only modern religion where the time scales correspond with modern cosmology. उस चीज़ को हटाते क्यों है? Because that is also Sagan's opinion. नहीं, उसको उसको हटा देंगे और बाद में बोलेंगे देखा सेगन ने तो हमारे धर्म की प्रशंसा की थी. मुझे ये लाइन याद इसलिए है कि एक ज़माना था मैं भी इसको बहुत सीरियसली मानता था. Luca says, why would aliens come so far themselves? They will send drones and robots. Again, drones and robots are things that we make. Maybe they don't make drones and robots. Maybe they are drones and robots made by another civilization which has died out. And maybe the only reason they're doing what they're doing is because that is what they were programmed to do. Maybe, 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 and since we are speculating, maybe life on this planet was seeded by an alien civilization which programmed us with curiosity, and that is why we are curious. Nandini says, Yashvi, I also had the same question. I think I will be a very cool mom. I think our thoughts will match, but I'm still afraid that I will have different thoughts. Different thoughts on who? And what different thoughts? Listen, at some point your kids are going to disagree with you. That is a gone point. But how are you going to deal with the disagreements that you have with your kids? Are you going to say नहीं मैंने जो कहा वही सच है, or are you going to say टाइम बदल रहा है, मे बी बच्चों की थोड़ी सुन लेती हूँ. Kavan says, but someone who discovers things through experimentation and other forms of discovery will at least have a method to assess the situation and a mind open enough to consider various possibilities. True that. I don't have any disagreement with that. Um, Prutha says, hey Vimo, for a Gen Z parents, what things their child would disagree with parents? I'm very also very curious to know. Again, I have no way of knowing this. Why do people ask me about what will be the behavior of children 15, 20 years from now? I hardly know what is going to happen on this planet in the next 5 years. Maybe, most likely, if I am to speculate, maybe climate change की सिचुएशन और भी ज़्यादा खराब हो चुकी होगी और हमारा जनरेशन बोल रहा होगा अरे कहाँ गर्मी है कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा और and we'll be burning literally and the kids will be like yeah if this goes on we're pretty much dead and our we blame the past generation for not doing anything about climate change. Maybe that will be the major point of distinction, the point where we differ with the coming generation. Kaushala says, Kavan, but the scientific method is how humans gain reliable knowledge. Aliens might know different methods of getting knowledge. Probably. Because of the kind of animal we are, observation through sense organs is an integral part of how we deal with reality. Maybe the aliens will have other ways of processing reality. Maybe they have senses which can see aspects of reality that we cannot even sense, even with our instrumentation. Like one of the biggest things that science has changed for us is that it made us aware that there are things that our senses cannot detect, like germs, for example. We made microscopes, and now we know that germ life exists. Dark matter, for example, we would never have been able to detect dark matter had it not been for deep space telescopes. uh, the visions we have of celestial bodies taken through ultraviolet light or radio waves, those are not things we could have done without instrumentation. So maybe they have access to instrumentation or other abilities that allow them to see things that we cannot even see. Maybe there are bridges between planets all over the universe and we cannot see them, and they can therefore use them also. Like imagine aliens come to our planet and say, "तू आया कहाँ से? Ship तो नहीं है तेरी?" And he said, "I just took this road." And you're like, "What road?" And they say, "This road. It's been here since the beginning of your planet. It connects all the planets. All you have to do is take this road." How do I take this road? You just take a left. How do you not know this? Imagine if that happens. Dear XYZ says, what if life forms on other planets are not carbon based but silicon based, or or on say may or some other elements? There is still no coherent definition of life. Yeah, that is true. We have one definition of life, and that definition is built on top of our understanding of us. We define life as ये सब जो हम और वो कई लाइफ फॉर्म्स जो इस planet पे हमारे साथ हैं, प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स, germs, insects, and all that. If we saw life of a variety that was not like ours, we would not even recognize it. There is an episode of Star Trek where they go to a planet to what's the word? Uh, what's the thing you terraform, right? They find a planet and it is empty, and they're terraforming it to be like Earth so that Earth people can live there. And their instruments keep getting interrupted by something, and they don't know what it is. And it turns out that there is a life form living in the sand of that planet. It is silicon based. It eventually is able to communicate to them through the ship's computer, because the ship's computer is also is has certain silicon parts. I guess it was not clearly explained because it's science fiction, but the idea was that these guys looked at the thing and couldn't tell if this was life, and they were about to kill it without knowing it. And that life form said, please leave our home. We are living here in peace. You just came here and do some shit, and now the air we breathe is going away and some other shit is happening. Please don't kill us. We live here. Thank you very much. So that is very much a possibility. When we see life on other planet, it is possible that we go to a planet, check it for life, find nothing, and move on to the next one. And the planet was full of life. And we simply didn't know to think of it that way. Charvak says, when science makes a travel machine which travels across times, past, present, future, across dimensions, across multiverse, seem in the sci-fi, huh? Seen in sci-fi, please send bugs to 800 years back time to sort out. Are why? If you send bugs back in time, they'll change something, and then the present will change. Send them to another universe where the timeline doesn't interrupt our living in the present. Um, Sumana says, as a Gen Alpha mom, I will let my child explore their thoughts and beliefs. I'm always open to listen and learn. Our disagreement should not define our relationship. I would disagree only on drugs and illegality. I'm not going to tell you how to do the job of a mommy because I'm never going to be a mommy. Kavan says, the ship crossing and going to another side reminds me of Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Yeah, that's kind of where I took it from. But in Rendezvous with Rama, there is a second ship and a third ship, and they are kind of indifferent to Earth. Sumana says, there is a lot to learn from your kids, and there are a lot of things you start agreeing with your parents happens mostly after you become a parent yourself. Yeah. Alien says, if we are the first species, won't we expand and evolve faster than other species of life could be formed from scratch? Maybe that's why all species are humanoid in sci-fi. No, all species are not humanoid in sci-fi. All species are humanoid. Most species that we encounter in stories of the science fiction series called Star Trek are humanoid. And Isaac Asimov's science fiction also had humanoid aliens mostly, but that was a political thing. And I'll talk about it some other time. I'm hesitant to talk about Asimov. If you don't know why, then watch my talk with Eman. But it is also possible that we won't expand and evolve faster. Maybe if life is an accident in our form, maybe it will fizzle out and we will disappear. And then the universe, if without any other life, will continue to exist in its lifeless state for all eternity. It is not by any means a given that just because we are here, we will continue to be here. Maybe we are a spark. The universe is going to be trillions of years long, and most of its duration is not even going to have light or matter in it. Maybe this part of the universe where there is stars and light and heat and life on this world, maybe this is just a tiny spark. All of it, us being even an even smaller part of that spark, one line in the corner of the spark. Think about that. The Big Bang से लेके अब तक से लेके the death of the last star that begins the age of darkness in the universe, all of it is just a tiny insignificant spark. And the thing that happens after that, complete darkness, complete lifelessness, complete cold or heat death. That is the way the universe actually is. Hmm. Deepika says, hey Vimo, have you watched Rick and Morty episode where there is a matriarchy? Women live in some spaceships and men live on ground, and there are female robots sent on land and they get fertilized by men. Hmm. No, I have not seen this episode because I have not seen much of Rick and Morty. By the way, if you are interested in matriarchy, look up an animal species called the Japanese macaque. Japanese, Japanese macaque, Macaque. It is a species of monkey, and their societies are matriarchal. Look it up, it's fascinating. Deepika says, and then they are transported to the flying ship. Men are just used for procreation, and those men only used to fight on land. It was really a different idea. It was actually not different an idea because it's quite frequently used. So Rick and Morty, the ideas that Rick and Morty has are kind of mostly spin-offs of popular science fiction ideas. And this idea of women being the main thing and men being subservient is quite common in science fiction. In fact, if you go to some science fiction magazines websites, they have a list of ideas on their submissions page saying, please don't send the stories based on this. You'll find this idea there. There are some ideas which are so frequently used in science fiction, they've literally become tropes. So this is, I guess, one of them. It's quite common. Luca says, Charvak, even if time travel is going to be invented, the current and future history is going to look exactly how it is right now. Maybe existence of right wing today is a caution and necessity for the future. Who knows? I personally could do without them. Batman Megan says, hey Vimo, how are you? Okay, I'm skipping a few comments because we're already at the 50-minute mark. Uh, hmm. Navjot says, Samay basically made a poor joke about abortions. When people said it was a bad joke and you're punching down, he basically started quoting other comedians and started blaming left for canceling him. Okay, that is unfortunate. He should not have done that, but I don't know what joke it was, so I cannot comment on it. If this is true, it is unfortunate, but I cannot comment on it. Kaushal says, Vimo, have you read the book series called Animorphs? I have read a few, a long time ago. When I was a child, I have read a few. अरे कहाँ गया? Um, kind of like the video you uploaded some time back about stand-up comedians. Yeah, what to do? Luca says, I think a future progressive idea is that unthinkable right now is 100% absolute prevalence of animal rights. Future generations, our kids will look at us in horror for causing such widespread suffering. That is quite possible. Mm. Charvak says it is scary to think that we are programmed by an alien galactic civilization that would mean there is no freedom in this world. Well, no, not really. You can always not do what the alien civilization wants you to do. But in order for that to happen, you will have to know what their plan was. Maybe they were just experimenting. It's like, you are in a room, there's a pencil, there's a piece of paper, you draw something, and then you forget about it. And years later, you find it under a table. Maybe we are that drawing. Maybe an alien species made us, and then, time हो गया, जाता हूँ खाना खाने. And they went away. And we are here thinking, oh God, पूरा यूनिवर्स हमारे लिए बना था, हम इतने महान हैं, हमें बनाया गया. That is also something special. Um, Batman Begins says climate change is real. People will understand it when they will face worse in the future. That is true. I don't disagree. Unique Samira says, Hi Vimo. Hi Samira. I'm late for this one, but I'm so excited. I will listen to the missed part on podcast. Thank you, Samira. Please do. By that, I actually remember. I will take this moment to remind everyone. No, actually, I'll do that at the end of the episode. I just wanted to remind people that there is a join button, so you can click and become a member, which will support the channel. Arijit Chaudhary says, if aliens come in UFOs, then aliens cannot come in UFOs. UFOs means unidentified flying objects. Aliens can come in ships. UFO is our perception of a thing in the sky that we don't understand. So his comment is, if aliens come in UFOs, then their evolution process is similar to humans. We humans have technologically advanced to reach to the present condition. That will add perspective to the theory of evolution. No, not necessarily. Maybe they did not happen by evolution. Maybe they are machines. Maybe they were created by another kind of being which does not which is not like us in any way. Maybe there is another kind of alien species which wanted to communicate with us, but it can't because there is nothing in common with us. They cannot speak. They have only observed us. So they created an entire planet so that they could one day reach us and talk to us. There are alien species in video games and science fiction which are extra universal. There is, I don't remember which game it is, but there is an alien species which uh, conquered the universe but kept humans around to work for it because it cannot figure out local teleportation. Like it can travel from one universe to another universe, but it cannot go from one point in the universe to another point in the universe. And for that, they have to, keep human beings around because we understand space. They don't understand space. It is easy for them to go from universe 1 to universe 3024, but they cannot move. इतना छोटा level पे वो लोग move नहीं कर सकते. So I think it is a huge assumption to think that just because it's a ship in the sky, all other things must be like us. They don't have to be. We don't know anything about what they are going to be like. We should not jump to conclusions based on simply the appearance of a ship. Dia says, when is Eman coming back? Eagerly waiting for her. Arey, Eman is on Instagram. You can always find her on her handle is Bigger Mouth Eman. There must be a link on her YouTube channel. Click on it and she posts content on YouTube, on Instagram regularly. मेरे 50 बार बोलने के बाद भी उसने YouTube पे फोकस नहीं किया. Please tell her. Vikram says if aliens visit Earth, they would be flabbergasted, watching weapons on Earth, pointing on Earth. They would be like, "What the fuck, bro? You plan to bomb your own planet?" Again, that is a very human reaction. I already spoke about this, so I'll not go into great detail about it. Mm. Navjot says, seeing the vastness of the cosmos makes you feel so insignificant that the worst of the problems doesn't seem as big. Yeah, if only everyone felt that way. परसों मैंने आधा घंटा सोच के मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड पे एक फनी ट्वीट लिखा था. ये क्या है? अरे, if someone else said something, don't quote it here, please. क्या है वैसे? अच्छा, that was the joke. Navjot says the exact joke. Yeah, don't quote things from other people's things because I have no way of verifying it. Sumana says maybe we are all toys from Toy Story and we have been dumped by our owner. Possibly. That would be a fascinating idea because that reminds me of what Klingons are like in Star Trek. They had gods, but the gods were too much trouble, so they killed the gods and now they only worship heroes. Nav says created by aliens, for aliens, and of aliens. That is summary of whole human history. Rajat says there are chances that Mars had aliens, but do you think that there could be any intelligent life that ever lived on Mars? We don't know. I think it is possible, given the condition that we observe on Mars right now, that at some point of time in the past, Mars had life on it. What kind of life it was, whether it was the kind of life that builds civilizations like us, or whether it was just oceanic life in the form of microbial beings, we don't know. When we know, we'll know. Hmm. सीनियर says मार्स के ऊपर वाटर चैनल्स मिलते हैं, क्या यहाँ लाइफ एग्जिस्टेंस की पॉसिबिलिटी रही होगी सर? That's what we think. We have channels on Mars which look like once upon a time they may have contained water, but now that we have found water on the moon, there is a chance that there may be water on Mars also. And if there is water on Mars, there may have been life on Mars once upon a time also. Vikas says maybe aliens have some unique knowledge about the universe. So when we will contact with them and if they would be benign, then we would also get that knowledge and save our thousands of years to find that. Yeah, that is the idea behind a lot of science fiction. Like in Star Trek, when aliens first contact Earth, they contact Earth when they see that human beings have learned how to travel faster than the speed of light. And when they see this, they give the humans a lot of technology, like advancements, knowledge about life out there, etc., etc., and that helps humans a lot. So that is a premise that is common in a lot of science fiction. Even in the sequel to Independence Day, the sequel to Independence Day had an alien being coming to Earth to warn us about the invasion. And after the war was won, after the fight was won, the alien species offered to teach us more technology that we can use to fight alien invasions in the future. Arijit says, but if we look at it logically, then every activity requires some evolution of the brain. So aliens building a planet, a machine, or anything similar to this that requires some brain power. Again, Arijit, you are thinking about it from a human perspective. We require a brain in order to do things. Aliens may not. Maybe they have some other system about which we cannot even imagine because we have never seen the likes of it. All we have seen is life that is like us. Why should we come to the conclusion that alien life is going to be like us? What are the odds, really, that the universe is so big and every planet out there has life that is like ours? By the way, there is some support for what you are saying in the forms of the writings by a science writer called John Gribben. pick up a book called Into the Cosmos, I think it is called. But John Gribben wrote an essay about if life does exist out there, and if it is somewhat similar, if that planet is somewhat similar to ours, like carbon based planet, water, oxygen, and all that, then any life form that is larger than a certain point will share some characteristics, according to him. I don't know if it is true, but he has speculated that we can say some things for sure, which is that all their sense organs will be in one part of the body, just like ours: eyes, nose, mouth, tongue, skin. It's all in the head, and most of the body is just skin, right? The only sense organ that is extra head is skin. So he has speculated that aliens will be probably like this. If they are aliens who have some conception of stars and star travel, then their heads will probably be able to look up, right? If there is a alien species which can only look down, then generation after generation in evolution, they might not be inspired to wonder about their place in the universe, because their existence will remain uh, limited to the grass on the ground that they are eating. Maybe, I don't know. With that, I want to end today's live stream. We are at 1 hour 1 minute, and before I end, before I read the last few comments, I like to remind everyone that this is, and I'm an independent creator, and my work depends on being sponsored by people like you. So if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below and become a member of the channel. It costs 159 rupees a month, and in return, you will get chat emojis that you can use in the live chat, and you can send super chats also. If you want to support me on Patreon, then you can do so at patreon.com/Vimo. You can make a monthly pledge or an annual pledge. And if you don't want to do any of that, you can simply visit my blog at vimo.stck.me and make a one-time donation of any amount of your choice. Your support helps me pay for software, pay for books, and pay the electricity bill, pay the internet bill, and buy food. So my existence is kind of sponsored by you. And yeah, that is about it. If you want to listen to this podcast on the web, you can visit www.vimo.in, which is the podcast official website. There is all the episodes can be listened to there. And on that website, you can also find links to all the audio apps on which the podcast is available, like Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Ghana.com, Geo7, Amazon Music. It's available everywhere. Any platform of your choice, you simply search for Vimo Live and you will find this podcast. And my main YouTube channel is youtube.com/Vimo, where I publish atheism related videos. Once more, I'll remind you, I don't have a card to put on the screen here, but my Hindi channel, I'm still posting shorts to. It is called Vimo Explains, youtube.com/Vimo Explains, VIMOH/EXPLAINS. Please go subscribe to it. And that is about it. Let me return to the comments. Last के 2-3 पढ़ लूँ क्या कुछ है? What? Navjot is asking, if you could ask any question of an answer you want, what would it be? Silly question. I don't even know what you mean by that. Jack says, have you read any Douglas Adams? I love how he portrayed aliens in his book. Yeah, I have read Douglas Adams, and Douglas Adams was a genius. Shreyas has sent an emoji. Vimo third eye. This, by the way, I made this emoji before Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness came out. So don't think that I got inspired by that movie. But anyway, at this point, I would like to end today's episode. And I will expect all of you to come back here at 10 tomorrow, 10 p.m. tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, 10 p.m. And this live stream happens from Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. And I don't know what tomorrow's episode is going to be about, but I hope to see you here, and I hope to see you here every day at 10 p.m. because that's where the live stream happens, and the audio of this live stream goes on the podcast. So see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.